All right, all right, all right. I think we're good to go ahead and start here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm not a professor, but you can call me Nap, and welcome on in. Hello, Aeon. Good to see you. Hope you finish. Hope you get those errands done. Hopefully they're not too much of a pain. But thank you so much for being here and lurking, anyways. Uh, Let me see here. Sorry, I just realized I forgot to do one little thing here before I started. All right, there we go. But yeah. Uh, Hope everybody's having a good Sunday evening, a good end to your weekend. Hope you're not, if you're on the East Coast, hopefully you're not getting too affected by that blizzard that's coming through. We'll kind of see how it affects. I think, is it? Wait, is it? Hold on, let me check. Oh, yeah, it is snowing outside. I didn't realize that before I got here, but yeah, it is snowing outside. So it is officially cold again, but my hope is that it's not supposed to snow like too much here, and like it'll be melted within like a day or two. I don't think it's going to last that as long or be nearly as cold as it was um, a few like weeks ago, or like when it was like down like almost at zero. In some cases, with wind chill below zero, which is just it was just awful. So yeah, it's not going to be like that, but yeah. So uh, let's see. If you weren't here yesterday, we did have a very fun time playing Stardew Valley, and I have like an itch now. I want to keep playing it. I want to keep playing it so bad. Like but it's something I have to like be careful because like otherwise I'm gonna get too into it, and I don't want to overdo it because I have a lot of fun playing it. Um, so we'll probably play it again this weekend, um, which I'm really looking forward to. Uh, but yeah, so that's kind of and that was it was a good start, I would say. Like we're not moving too fast, but I think we're moving right on time. I mean, we're not even through the first year yet, and we already uh I feel like we've done a good amount in terms of like actually like setting up the farm and everything and like starting like the community center and all that kind of stuff and getting all that figured out. I think it's just the only thing I feel like I am behind on is the like whole relationships with people. But that's because I have very little money. And I'm still like trying to build out the farm. I feel like once I get enough like a safe like a good like money like safety net, then I'll feel pretty good and like feel like I'll be able to like get things for people and like get things for gifts and everything. But yeah, so we're gonna be playing that for I don't know, who knows. It's gonna be a very just like kind of whenever we have time, whenever we're feeling up to it, and doing it. That's kind of the plan as of right now. Um, but what else? I'm trying to think. If you also weren't at yesterday's stream, actually, wait, hold on. I need to put a thing in the chat real quick for that. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. I did another YouTube short, and it's a YouTube short specifically about um what we're doing today with this project. So hold on, let me put that in the chat real quick. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so that's a link to the video, to the short. And it is a short that talks specifically about the first three people that we are researching as part of this project. The short's actually done really well, and I'm very happy with it. So thank you guys all so much for the support on that. I'm very happy with it. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yes, there was one thing. that before we get into what we're doing today, there was one thing I forgot to mention this last night we were playing, and God, I also am surprised that I spent like 5 hours playing yesterday. I wanted to do like 3, and ended up being on for 5 hours, which is just nuts. But one thing I did notice, or I discovered, when I was setting up Stardew Valley, I had to, like, do some things differently, compared to when we've done 2 Point Museum in OBS. So, like, setting things up, like the game capture and everything, making sure everything was working right. And I did something, I forget what I clicked on, but I clicked on something where basically it changed the aspect ratio of my stream. And at first I thought, oh no, I screwed something else. I'm not going to be able to fix it. What did I do wrong? Blah, blah, blah. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong? And everything I kept looking up kept saying that, like, oh yeah, you're supposed to stream. When you stream, you're supposed to stream in a 12 or a 16:9 aspect ratio. And that's what it changed everything in OBS to, meaning it wasn't at that ratio before. And I looked again, and I looked at, like, old clips and, like, some old streams that I have. Not too, I don't have, like, a ton of super old ones, but, like, ones from, like, clips and stuff from, like, back, going all the way back to, like, June. And what I discovered is that for some reason, between June and July last year, something happened in OBS where it changed my aspect ratio. And for the longest time, I was streaming and creating, like, clips and, like, there were these, like, black bars on the side. Like, it didn't fill out the screen properly. And I just never noticed. I just thought that's how the video player was. So for, like, almost, like, 9 months, I've been streaming at the wrong aspect ratio. For 9 months, I was streaming at the wrong aspect ratio. And as you can see, you can only expect the best, most professional streams here on this channel. I guess I'm so focused doing my research and everything that I'm not noticing when things are screwing up in that sense. Yeah. Hey, Wonju, good to see you. Oh, thank you so much that you like the short. Yeah, that's great to hear. I enjoy making them. I really do love making them. They're just an extra fun way to, like, for people who, obviously can't stick around or see a whole, like a whole 3-hour stream, or, like, they miss certain one. It's a good, like, kind of like summing up what some of the stuff that we do out here. So yeah, I'm really glad you like that. Thank you. But yeah, so basically I discovered that I still know nothing about streaming, and I was streaming at the wrong aspect ratio for 9 months. But it should be fixed now. The black bars are gone. The black bars are gone, and the screen should properly fill out the video player now and everything. I looked, at my VOD yesterday from playing Stardew Valley last night, and everything looks fine. Everything looks good. I am happy that it's finally correct, and I am not doing things incorrectly anymore. Hey, Pirate, welcome on in. Good to see you. Glad to see you here. But yeah, so hopefully now everything looks good on stream. I basically was saying, Pirate, that I discovered that for the past 9 months, I've been streaming at the wrong aspect ratio, and that it was creating these, like, black bars on the side of the stream and in, like, my VODs and stuff that I didn't notice until yesterday when I was setting things up for Stardew Valley. So now I should be streaming at the right aspect ratio, and everything should be good. Hopefully things look fine. Yeah, you trust me, I never noticed either. But if you go back and look at, like, my VODs and my clips and everything, the clips especially, like, you'll see on the side, you'll see these, like, black, like, it doesn't fill the full screen. I just thought that's how the video player was for the longest time. But turns out I'm just dumb. I was just being very dumb. Yeah, exactly. Hey, I didn't notice it either until it's something you don't think about because like it as long because it's like not like it wasn't like cropped or like in a way where it was like, oh, you were missing things that were off the screen. It was made smaller. Like I was streaming at a smaller ratio, so you still saw everything. Everything was still there. So that's I think why like that's probably why I didn't notice and why nobody else said anything. It was because you could if you couldn't like see things, that's when I think there would be an issue. But yeah, so that's basically everything that's happened since our last stream, which was just yesterday, but still something that was a big thing that I discovered that should hopefully mean that it's hopefully fixed now and there will totally never be any more scuff or tech issues ever in this stream ever. And that's the last of it. Because that's totally how this works. But yeah, so oh god, no, please don't clip that. That's the last thing I need. I need a record of my promises in terms of tech issues on here. But yeah, so that's that. I say let's go ahead and let's get into what we're going to be doing today. So let me go ahead and switch on over here. All right. So to sum up what we're going to be doing today, we are going to be continue research. Oh wait, hold on. I should have. Whoops! I should have looked at the thing. Oh no, not this one. Here we go. Okay, so this is what we've been researching. If this is your first time here, that sounds very politician. Like, don't hold me accountable for my words. Oh God, that's the last thing I want to sound like here. That is definitely the last thing I want to sound like. Oh yeah, the peanut. Yeah, that's just Lewis. He's just making sure, he's just making sure that you just kind of you follow the stream. Don't make no notice that there's two of them. It's fine. I feel like I need to do more stuff with Lewis. I kind of forget that he's there half the time. But he's basically kind of the unofficial stream mascot. After we found him in that patent stream. God, how long has it been? That's probably been, that was like 9 months ago, something like that. I don't think it's been a year yet, but it's been a while. Anyway, though. This is what we're going to be researching, or continuing researching today. This is a photo from 1888 of a birthday party where we are trying to find every single person in this photo. And we're able to do that because on the back of this photo, there is a list of every single person with a corresponding number there. And so far, we have reviewed numbers 1 through 6, which, so you can see them on here, numbers 1 through 6 there. We're going in numerical order, and today, we're going to be researching number 7, who, according to the back of this, is number 7 there is Eliza Furman is her name. And you can see here on this data sheet that I've made where all the stuff that we've researched so far, basically, okay, I'll do like a quick summary of like most of these people. Number 1, Harry Fosselman. Unfortunately, we don't have much about him because he died at the age of 17. Harry Lewis was a local attorney, or grew up to be a local attorney and a bunch of other jobs, but also was a car enthusiast and ended up owning a car dealership for a little bit. Ruth Terry, unfortunately, similar situation as Harry Fosselman. She died young at the age of 25. Marion Metcalf. Marion was the sister of the girl whose birthday party it was in this photograph. And also went on to marry an Olympic sprinter who won gold medals at the 1900 Paris Olympic Games. That's probably the craziest thing we've found so far. Amy Brown. Took me 3 hours to find her and her sister in the historical record. By far the longest I've spent like just researching one person and then succeeding. Um, she went on to she was an artist who took art classes at Yale, but unfortunately, because her family moved while she was in the middle of taking classes, I believe she never graduated. And then we have Flora Fosselman. That's Harry Fosselman's older sister, that was the last person we researched. She went on to get married to a man named George. Before she got married, she was actually a musician and a music teacher, specifically teaching piano and organ, uh, playing, and went on to live to the age of 68, and lived not that far from where her brother passed away, near the same kind of town in Pennsylvania. So that's a quick rundown. I hope you're able to follow all that. Actually, the YouTube short that's linked to the top of the stream also does a quick rundown of the first three people here: Harry, and Ruth. But anyway, today we're going to focus on Eliza Furman, who you see pictured above me here, number 7 on this list. Now, I can't remember, because when you have 24 people on a list, they start to get like kind of jumbled up, and you have like difficulty trying to take into account of like who is who. If I remember correctly, I feel like Eliza, we did not have much for her. Like when we initially tried to look for her. I think it took a little bit longer. So I'm nervous that it's going to be one of those where there's not going to be a lot available. Because it was like that, I think, for Harry. I mean, and unfortunately it was because he passed away, and I don't know if it's going to be the same case for Eliza. I could be wrong, though, and I could be mixing her up with somebody else on this list. All right, so let's go ahead then. We're going to go ahead and head on over to Ancestry. So I'll start with Eliza. And then I'll probably change it to Elizabeth later, because that's more likely what her legal name is. And we'll go... So we'll go Wyoming County, Pennsylvania. And we'll just start with that. Just something very basic, very easy. Let's see. Okay, no, it's not this one, because... Yeah, born in 1925. That is not the right person. Oh, okay, hold on. I think this is it. This is what we found before. Okay. Okay, Furman, Edwin, Mary, Joseph, Eliza. So this is the 1880 census. She's 3 years old, which means she was born in 1777, roughly. Which I think... I think that, yeah, okay, no, that does make sense. Yeah, and it is in Wyoming County, so she is from the area. Her family is from the area. I'm going to say specifically where. They're not in Tacanic. They're in Mehoopany. That's a funny name for a town. Okay, so this is 1880. So that means if she was born in 1877, that means she's 10 or 11 in the photo above me, which I think looks about right. I think that looks about right. Okay, so her father is a farmer, growing up on a farm. Okay, oh, at school. I was trying to read what that said for a second, but it's at school. Okay, I think, yeah, I think we found her. I'm pretty confident this is her. Hold on, let's go back to this real quick. Open that up in a new tab. But that's it. That's what's there's nothing else here listed in terms of like other things. Hold on, okay, if we go to Edwin. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here for Edwin. Her father. Oh, these are saying Farman. Hold on. Okay, and these are saying Furman. Is that why there's like an issue, maybe? Hold on. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at Edwin's 1900 census real quick. Okay, they're living by themselves. Yeah, they're okay. They're still in Wyoming County. But what happened to Eliza? That's interesting. Hold on. Unless she also, went by a different name. Oh, wait. No way. Is this? No. Oh my god. She. Oh man. She. This is her. She died. She died only like 5 years after the photo was taken. Yeah, because this is Edwin, Joseph. Yeah, this is her. Wait, what does this say here? Hold on. Eliza was born to a Mr. Robert Barclay and his wife. After his wife's passing, Eliza went to live with Edwin Day and Mary Elizabeth Rinker Furman. She was adopted by them and went by Eliza Furman. Eliza passed away at a young age from diphtheria and was interned at Vogue Cemetery, Mahoney, Pennsylvania. At a later date, her remains were removed and taken to Sunnyside Cemetery in Taconic, Pennsylvania. Eliza had several siblings from the Barclay family, so that's not her real name. She was adopted. Whoa, just when I thought, okay, well, there wasn't going to be much to look at here, she was adopted. The Furmans adopted her. Because here we have some newspaper articles. The death of Eliza Furman occurred on Tuesday of diphtheria after an illness but a few days at the age of 15 years. The deceased was a daughter of Mr. Robert Barclay, formerly a resident of this place, but since the death of her mother, she has resided with the family of Edwin Furman and had been called Furman ever since. She was a bright, interesting girl, and her death will be mourned by a large circle of friends. On account of the disease, there was no funeral, and the interment took place in the Bond Cemetery in Mehoopany Township on Wednesday. Okay, this is interesting. Wow. just when I thought there wasn't going to be much here, this is turning into an interesting story right here. So she was adopted, but because her mother died. Okay, we're going to have to also look up this Robert Barclay person. Oof. Okay. Because what happened to Robert Barclay? Was he still alive when... I mean, it was like a full-on adoption. The fact that she took on their last name. It wasn't like a, oh... Like, she's just living there temporarily. Like, maybe like he gets on his feet after his wife passed away. That's crazy that she stayed to the point where she took on the name. The body of Eliza Furman, an adopted daughter of Mr. and Mrs. E.D. Furman, has been moved from a cemetery at Mehoopany to Sunnyside Cemetery here. Okay. Wow. Okay. There is a lot we need to keep track of here. This actually just got a little bit more complicated than I was expecting. The fact now that she was adopted, okay, and that Furman is not her birth name. Okay, yeah, so we do know... Okay, she was 15, apparently. Because this also says that Robert Barclay here, it says formerly a resident of this place. So he doesn't live there anymore. Where did he go? Also, let me change this so that's just the state. Let's see. Mary Elizabeth, Betty. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Elizabeth. Well, then again, actually, yeah, we're not going to get... I just thought about it. We're not going to get any thing probably else for her with the name. Because, I mean, the Furman name seems to be a pretty common name, just judging by all these people in Wyoming County. Okay. Yeah, there's really not going to be much else in here. Specifically for Eliza. Okay, let's see if we can find... I mean, we have them here, but I want to see if there's anything else in the newspaper for her specifically. We're just gonna go straight into it. That also, actually, now that I think about it, that explains why there's a big age gap between Eliza and Joseph. And here they have her listed as her daughter. Hey Dale, good to see you. Welcome on in. Oh, ooh, 6 hours past your bedtime. Yeah, you should go to bed, man. Get some sleep. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you for lurking. I greatly appreciate it. Oh yeah, distract. Hey, no, I get it, man. That was me last night when I was playing Stardew Valley for 5 hours instead of playing it for 3 like I initially planned. No, I totally get it. And that's basically what this is. It's just a giant distraction. But yeah, that's basically all that that's all this entire stream is just a giant distraction for me. Like there are times when I'm doing these research streams where it's like I'm streaming like for 4 hours or more of just doing research. Hell yeah, to a utilitarian amount of distraction. That's good. I like that. But okay, so what's also okay, so she's 3 here. And they list her as their daughter. Not adopted daughter, not like they don't have her other name. She took on, so they full on, it wasn't like, yeah. So I think this right here, this census record helps confirm that this confirms right here that she was fully like adopted and accepted into the family. It wasn't just a temporary thing. So okay, hold on. So let's look for her. First we'll look Eliza Furman. And we'll do 1877 to 1894. Oh god, that's not the pay attention, Neff. That's not the date section, that's the location. Okay, and let's change it to Wyoming County, Pennsylvania. Okay, so we only got 3 things here. Oh wait, hold on. Gotta sort it by oldest first. Okay, so the only thing here seems to be her obituary. That's it. Okay, yeah, and this is that same article that we just read. Which, if you missed it, I'll read it again real quick. The death of Eliza Furman occurred on Tuesday of diphtheria after an illness but a few days, at the age of 15 years. The deceased was a daughter of Mr. Robert Barclay, formerly a resident of this place, but since the death of her mother, she has resided with the family of Edwin Furman and had been called Furman ever since. She was a bright, interesting girl, and her death will be mourned by a large circle of friends. On account of the disease, there was no funeral, and the interment took place in Vaughan Cemetery in Mahoupany Township on Wednesday. And then the other one here, I think, is all. This one here is the other one that we already saw, where it's just the short blurb talking about, yeah. Oh, no, wait. No, this is. Wait, is this the same one that we saw? Hold on. Yeah, it is the same one. Yeah, talking about how they moved her body. The body of Eliza Furman, an adopted daughter of Mr. and Mrs. E.D. Furman, has been moved from a cemetery at Mahoupany to Sunnyside Cemetery here. I didn't think about this. Hold on. Where's her... Because we have... Okay, this is a little hard to see here, but... There's Joseph Furman. Eliza. Father? That just says father. Hold on. Because... Are they buried right by each other? Because this is Edwin's. Oh, well, wait, look at this. This is interesting. right down here at the bottom, talking about Edwin and Mary Furman were the parents of at least 2 children. Joseph Edwin Furman, born 1870 in Taconic, PA, lived in Broome County, New York. And then Eliza Furman, born 1877. No additional information on Eliza has yet become available. Well, there's a reason why, because she was adopted. It's a little hard. Hold on, okay. Let me look. I know that, okay, so Joseph is right here. I'm just trying to, like, figure out, like... Because Eliza's right there, and then this is what their grave looks like. And I don't see... Oh, wait, is that it? That's it right there. Oh, wait, no. That's a different Furman. Similar looking. But that's a different Furman. So she was... I think she was moved on purpose. Hold on. Okay. Let me pull up Google real quick. Google Maps. Because I remember seeing Mahoopany come up a little bit, but I don't know how far it is from Taconic. Oh, okay, there it is. Here. Okay, so Taconic is right here, and Mahoopany is just right up here. Just right up the river. It's very small. And I'm just looking to see if there's like a cemetery. There's a church here, but it looks like a pretty modern church, and I don't see a cemetery. Any ambulance, library. Oh, is that us? No. Oh wow, there isn't even a street view around into the town. Because what was the name of the cemetery that she was originally buried in? Vaughn Cemetery. No, I don't know if that is a Vaughn, like... That's actually the name of the cemetery, or that's just a family cemetery? Oh, wait. Here it is. Oh, wow, okay, so it's like way up here. Oh, right here. Okay. The marker's a little bit off, but, you know, I'll take it. So this is where she was buried. Yeah, Vaughn Cemetery. Wow. Okay. There was one other newspaper article. There was this one, which I think is just going to talk more about her resolutions. Oh, wait, hold on. Resolutions. Whereas it has pleased the great shepherd to remove one of our number, Eliza Thurman, from the fold below to the upper fold, therefore, resolved that we humbly submit to the unerring wisdom of our Heavenly Father, knowing that He does all things well, resolved that in her we have lost a faithful scholar, whose loss will be surely felt, resolved that a copy of these resolutions be forwarded to the parents of the departed, resolved that we be watchful and diligent, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh, resolved that these resolutions be published in one or more of the town papers. adopted by a rising vote in the evangelical Sunday school. Okay, so she was evangelical. Looks like it. What if I change it to just Pennsylvania and not Wyoming County? Oops. Oh, okay. 1881, 1882. Okay, there's a few things here. Let's see what this one says. Committed. Yesterday, Patrick Agan, well known in police circles, was committed to the Camden County Jail for drunkenness and for abusive conduct. The mayor also committed Eliza. Okay, this is not the same Eliza Furman. I thought for a second I thought that was going to be a thing talking about like her adoption, but it wasn't. It was just that was a completely wrong Eliza Thurman. What about this one? And Eliza Thurman. No, okay. That's not her. This is also likely not her. This is also, yeah, not her. These are the ones we already read. Oh, this is a thing. Oh, this is little. It's just a one sentence thing from the looks of it. Little Eliza Furman Barkley died of diphtheria. This is just like random like happenings. And diphtheria, I know the term diphtheria. I just want to double check, make sure I'm thinking of the right thing. Oop, nope. Hold on. It's like a... Yeah, diphtheria. Oh, that's a bad image. They have a picture. Oh, I don't like that. Diphtheria is an infection caused by the bacterium. Something that I can't pronounce. Most infections are asymptomatic or have mild clinical course, but in some outbreaks, the mortality rate approaches 10%. Symptoms develop gradually, beginning with a sore throat and fever. In such cases, a gray white patch develops in the throat. Yeah, diphtheria is usually spread between people by direct contact through the air and through contact with contaminated objects, which is probably why they say in her obituary that on account of the disease, there was no funeral and the internment took place. Yeah, so they didn't hold a funeral at all because they have the risk of the disease was considered so contagious that they couldn't risk it. Okay. So sorry, I have to change my windows real quick here. There's like a bunch of different stuff I need to fix. Okay, there we go. Okay. So the next thing I want to figure out. I want to figure out what happened to her adopted parents. I mean, we know her mother passed away at some point before she was 3 years old, because by 1880 census, when she is 3 years old, she is already living with them. So let's look up, because we're not going to get it if we look up Furman. Let's look up. What was his? Hold on, what was his name? Robert Barclay. Okay, so Robert Barclay. And yeah, he did live in the area for a little bit. Okay. This might be... Oh, wait, no, this is... Wait. Yeah, no, this is not the right person. But this person right here... Wyoming County, 1880 census. By 1880... Okay, hold on. Let's see if this is him. Birthplace, West Indies. Porter, hold on. Wait, yeah, this is... He's living by himself. He's a boarder. Yeah, Robert Barclay, 33. What is that? Railroad? Section hand on railroad. Section hand. And born in the West Indies. Is that like... What is the... Okay, hold on. Let me look up. What is considered West Indies? It's not really specific. It's just kind of like just a general Caribbean. So it could be anywhere in the Caribbean. It doesn't specifically say. Maybe if we can find an obituary for him, we can get a direct answer. But unfortunately, this is not connected with anything. There is... Okay, so he would be born about 1847. So let's add that. 1847. That'll help narrow it down. We know he moves away. Okay. Okay, Robert Barclay is kind of a common name. Okay, but there's also this one. Hold on. Who is this one? Is this... Is this the right person? No, because... This can't be the right person because... Yeah, Hannah. It says Hannah lived to his wife Hannah lived to be to 1921. So this can't be him. Hold on. Because that means there's two Robert Barclays. Well, this is Beaver, Pennsylvania. So actually, no, this isn't him. This is the only one that we have that might be right. Okay, hold on, wait. This is Okay, this is, yeah, Beaver, Pennsylvania. Hold on. Let's look at this one. Okay, I think this is him. This is a death certificate. Or the picture is just his death certificate. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. They have a different Eliza. Oh, okay, yeah, this is him. Robert Christopher Barclay. I think they might not have just done a picture of the cemetery. Okay, hold on. Lancaster. Male, widowed, yep. Husband or wife, Mrs. Adelaide. Adelaide. Okay, so that was the name of her mother, Adelaide. Birthplace at sea. Name of father, George Barclay, Scotland. There's some James Lane's birthplace of mother, unknown. So wait, was he born on a boat? This is making it sound like he was born on a boat. Occupation deceased, road construction. Retired. Wow, he lived to be 80. January 2nd, 1927. Cause of death, pneumonia. Wow. That is crazy that he was apparently born at sea. That is nuts. But this is definitely him. Where's Adelaide? Oh, wait. Okay, so wait, no, this is Adelaide's. So she died October 19th. October 19th in 1879. So the year before this article or this census. And they had another kid, Seward, who apparently died in 1877. They had one of their child here that died. Where? So this is the This is the grave. So this is making me think that Robert's grave is not actually here because they're not showing a picture of it. So I think she was, because this is the same for his. Okay, hold on, because this is for. I think this is the same. This is the same grave. It's just as his mother's. Just a different side of it. Yeah. So this is. Hold on. Yeah, there's Seaward. Blank. Blank. And then Adelaide. I think, okay. Oh shoot. Okay, we have an ad starting soon. So actually hold on. I'm going to hold that thought until the ads are done. So that way people can fully hear my thoughts on this, because this is crazy. This is a crazy thing we've discovered. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we are in the ad right now. So I'm actually gonna like stand real quick, stretch the legs, and then get a little bit of a drink of water too. So I suggest you guys do the same if you're not in the ad. So 1 second. My all right, yeah. My body was not happy with me yesterday after sitting for like 5 hours straight of playing Stardew Valley. So I want to make sure that I actually am like stretching properly and everything, and like I'm not just sitting down the whole time, because the legs are not happy when you do that. But I'm gonna be honest, I do need to get a new office chair. The office chair I'm in right now is not great, and I got like 2 years ago for free at a garage sale. Because I was like, hey, free chair, I'll take it. And when I first got it, it wasn't that bad for a free chair, but now it's really starting to show its age. Some of the like leather and stuff is like peeling away. But I'm also the type of person that like I will use something until like it, like, even if it's starting to break, I'll keep using it. Like, I will use things until they are officially, like, broken to the point where it's like, okay, it does not work at all anymore. Like, I still have my backpack, my high school backpack. I still use it for everything. I still use it, even though that thing is beat to hell. And, like, I should probably get a new backpack, but I'm like, you know, it still works. It's fine. It's good. doesn't need anything new. All right, I think we're back. I think we're back from the ads now. So, okay, so this is my theory based on the photos of this grave that we have here. Hello, Honey Toasty. Welcome on in. Good to see ya. Hope you're having a good day. We are in the middle right now of researching the girl that you see above me. Her name was Eliza, and unfortunately, we discovered that she was unfortunately, so she was born in 1877, and this photo was taken in 1888. So 11, about 11, she's about 10, 11 years old in this photo above me. But unfortunately, 5 years later, she unfortunately passed away at the age of 15, which, you know, is unfortunately semi-common for the time. But something else we discovered when we discovered her grave was that she was adopted. Furman is not her legal last name. Instead, it says here, the deceased was the daughter of Robert Barclay, formerly a resident of this place, but since the death of her mother, she has resided with the family of Edwin Furman and had been called Furman ever since. So, which is what we see in this census record here, that she's living with the Furmans at 3 years old. So we just discovered, we found the grave of her father, or of her mother, and she died in 1879. So when Eliza was only 2. We do know that she did have at least one sibling that unfortunately died young, as we can see here, under children. And right now we're just I'm trying to figure out basically like why Robert, her father, because her father lived to be 80 years old and died in 1927. So he outlived all of his family, basically, according to this. So what I want to find out is see if we can figure out why he gave up Eliza. Because we know, according to the census record, he was at 33, so this is the same year as this census record. So Eliza is here living with the Furmans. At the same time, Robert is here. He's a boarder, so he's living in somebody else's house. Of the Sanford Wandall family in the same county in Pennsylvania. And he works for the railroad. It says a section hand on railroad. I'm excited to catch one of your streams. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear that. I hope I'm not rambling too much. I know it's a lot to just, like, throw at somebody who just joined, so I apologize if that was overwhelming. Because it is a lot. It's been a lot to uncover it. So, basically, my theory as of right now is that it's possible because he worked on the railroad that he couldn't keep her. And that's also possibly why he's not showing up in a lot of like other census records, because he was moving around so much. But also something else that I noticed when we were looking at the grave of Adelaide, it's actually the same grave as Seward, her sibling. Yeah, exactly. He could have wanted to give her a more stable home. But something else that I noticed, and this is what's interesting. So this is her brother's grave, who died when he was only 2. On one side of it is Seward. And then this side is blank. You can see there's like room for a plaque here, and there's nothing here. On this side, there's another plaque, where again, there's nothing there. And then on this side of it is Adelaide, wife of Robert C. Barclay. So the whole family was probably originally going to be around this gravestone, this grave marker. However, we have a newspaper article. It's this one here, that Eliza was moved. She was moved from a cemetery at Mehoopany, which is where this cemetery is. She was moved from Mehoopany to Sunnyside Cemetery, where she is currently buried, which is this cemetery, and she is buried with the other Furmans. So I think this shows just how close she was. Like, it wasn't just a temporary, like, oh, this wasn't just a temporary thing that her father was doing to give her just while he was working for a little bit stable home. I think she was fully adopted, because she was, my guess is that she was originally she was probably buried around this. The same thing as, like, you know, her mother and her sibling. But then the Furmans came in and had her buried with them instead. Yeah, the Furmans want her to be with them since they were under their care. Yeah, that's what I think it is too. So I think that's just a show of like how close, you know, how fully accepted she was into the family. And that makes me also wonder if she had like any contact at all with her biological father. Because the next thing I want to do, because unfortunately there's not much for him in terms of like what's available on Ancestry either. Because this, hold on, okay, so this, where is it? Here, so this is his death certificate. And we know he worked, when he died, after working on the railroad, he was working road construction. It doesn't look like he ever married again, because it says his widowed wife is Adelaide, so he never remarried. Also, this is also crazy. Apparently, he was born at sea. And in the one census record we have, it says that his birthplace specifically it's a little hard to read, but it says West Indies, which is just kind of a blanket term for the Caribbean at the time. And his father was Scottish, and his mother, we don't know where she was born. So I'm guessing that he was born on if it says at sea, I guess that means he was born on a boat. Which I don't know what in the world the like laws and like citizenship means for that in that case. Maybe it depends on the like ownership of the boat, I guess. I don't know. That's just a crazy thing to consider. And that's a first. That's a first in terms of like doing this research of finding somebody who was born at sea. Because nothing else. We do know his death date now. So hold on. So 1927. Let me put death 1927. And he was living, according to this, he was living in okay, well he died in Lancaster. January 2nd, 1927 is when he died. Yeah, July 24th, 1846. Robert Christopher Barclay. Okay. So let's put here, put Lancaster County, and just see if that narrows anything down. Here we go. This is who we want. Robert Christopher Barclay. Oh wow, the only thing here is that they have is this exact death certificate. That's all they have. Which again, I think shows that there really isn't much. Apparently though, so his parents were in Canada at the times of their death. Robert Chris. Okay, yeah, that's the death certificate we just saw. I think it might be easier. This might be one of those things where we might have to switch to newspapers to like find stuff. So let's actually hold on. I'm curious. What are these New York ones? Wait, 1890. No, that's not the. Okay, no, these aren't the right person at all. Okay, so let's go back here, and let's change it. Well, first let's see if there's anything for Barclay. Oh, whoops, nope, not New York. We want Pennsylvania. Okay, this is not the right Eliza Barclay, because that says Mrs., as if that was her married name. Is it P? Nope. Another old resident gone. Nope, this is not not her. Okay, so there are other Eliza Barclays, which means there's probably going to be other Robert Barclays, which just means this is going to be difficult. So let me change it back again to Wyoming County, Pennsylvania. So yeah, so nothing there, but let's change it to Robert. Okay. Okay. We have a few things going on here. Okay, let's see. First we have this one from 1877. Okay, so this right here, this is, okay, death. Seward, son of Robert Barclay of Carney Flats, died by, oh my god, died by burning? Age 3 years old. Oh god, that's horrible. Oh my god, wow, this, oh man, this family they had it rough. My god. I thought it was just gonna be, oh, he was a disease, because that's more common, you know, infant mortality rate and everything, but god, died by burning. That's terrible. Okay, what was he doing in 1878? Greenback Convention. The National Greenback Labor Reform Convention was held in Hendricks Hall, Taconic, on Monday afternoon with closed doors. A reporter of the Republican on the Alert for News applied for admittance for the purpose of reporting of the proceedings, but was not allowed to enter. Through the kindness of Mr. Peter A. Miller and Captain James B. Harding, however, we subsequently received the material for the following report. Let's see. The convention was called to order by William Brooks of Taconic, chairman of the county committee, T.R. Armstrong of Taconic Township elected president, James E. Smith, Monroe C.J. Reed, Northmoreland, Peter A. Miller, Taconic, elected secretaries. Delegates qualified as follows. Okay, and he's listed here as a delegate. The National Greenback Labor Reform. I've heard that term before, greenback. Hold on, let me look that up real quick. National Greenback. Yeah, the Greenback Party, or the Greenback Labor Party, was an American political party with anti-monopoly ideology, which was active from 1874 to 1889. The party ran candidates in 3 presidential elections, 1876, 1880, and 1884, before it faded away. The party's name referred to the non-gold backed paper money, commonly known as greenbacks, that had been issued by the North during the American Civil War and shortly afterwards. The party opposed the lowering of prices paid to producers that was entailed by a return to a bullion-based monetary system, policy favored by the Republican and Democrat parties. Okay. So it's like an anti-monopoly, like more kind of like they want monetary reform, basically, to like change how currency was in America. Huh. Okay, so he was part of that group. Okay, let's see. Hey, Wayward Bard, good to see you. Welcome on in. Thank you so much for lurking and greatly appreciate it. All right. Let's see, what other newspaper articles do we have here? Okay, this is from 1879, so this is making me think. This is making me think this is probably going to be about her mother, because 1879 is when she died. So let's see what this is about. Daring bravery. Uh-oh. Yesterday afternoon, as number 46 freight J.M. Lowell, conductor, was rounding the curve at Horse Race Dam, about 2 miles below Mahoopany, the engineer discovered a child upon the track, but a few rods in front of him. The train, which was a heavy one, was going so fast that he saw it was impossible to stop before it would be too late to save the child. The head brakeman, Mr. Andrew Morris, took in the situation at a glance and rushed forward over the engine to the pilot, upon which he sat down at the risk of his own life and, reaching his feet forward, grasped the child between them and lifted it from the track uninjured. The child was about 2 years of age and belonged to Mr. Robert Barclay. This is Eliza. Such bravery as that shown by Mr. Morris should not go unrewarded. This is Eliza. 1879, 2 years of age. Belonged to Mr. Robert Barclay. This is Eliza. Eliza almost got hit by a train. Whoa. That is... Wow. So the child was playing on the tracks, a few rods in front of him, possible to stop it to be late to save the child. The head brakeman, Mr. Andrew Morris, in the situation at a glance and rushed forward over the engine to the pilot, upon which he sat down at the risk of his own life and, reaching his feet forward. So I'm guessing. Okay, so I'm picturing what's happened here. Yeah. In reaching his feet forward, grasped the child between them and lifted it from the track uninjured. Okay, so the train was moving. And, trains like this, it probably wasn't going super fast, but trains like these are so heavy that, like, the amount of time it takes to stop is, like, crazy. So the brakeman climbed over basically the front of the train, climbed down the front, and, like that one scene in The General, basically, in that old, like, silent film, The General, he reached his feet down in front of him, lifted up the kid with his feet, like, as he's, like, holding back the train, like, more like, okay, it's like Spider-Man in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man when he's, like, in front of the train holding it back, but instead of holding it back, he's riding on the front of it and sticks his legs out so that, before the train hits the kid, he can grab, like, squish him in between his legs and lift the kid up. That's insane. Wow. She almost got hit by a train. Because okay, hold on. This is August 8th, 1879? When did Adelaide die? When did... October. Okay, so this is October. October of 1879 is when she dies, and this is in August, so just a few, like, 2 months before. Yeah, about 2 months before. That is nuts. Wow, what a crazy... This one is turning out to be... I thought it was going to be way more simple when, we discovered that, unfortunately, she died very young, that there wasn't going to be much here. But this is turning out to be crazy. Because not only did we discover that not only she was going to be, like, basically learning that, she... Not only was she adopted, her father was still alive, and she was almost hit by a train. Her younger brother, unfortunately, died in, like, a burning accident. This is just all insane. Hey, no problem, honey. Just thank you so much for being here. I hope you make something good and tasty while you're listening. Make some good food. Wow, okay. What else do we have here? Okay, hold on. I think this is going to be the same story. Okay, yeah, this is the same story, but like a shorter version of it. That was a historic act of Andrew Morris, a brakeman on number 46 freight LVRR, in snatching from the jaws of death a little 2-year-old child of Robert Barclay near Horse Race Dam on Thursday night. The child was upon the track, and but for Mr. Morris catching and throwing it one side, its life must have been lost. Okay, so he throwing it one side. So he picked him up with his legs and then, like, basically just get the kid off the tracks. Like, that's what he did. He didn't, like, lift her up and, like, hold her there. Just basically, like, lifted her up to, like, get out of the way of the train so that she wouldn't get hit by it. And even though it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mention her by name, but this has to be her, because she would be 2 years old around this time. But what's interesting, too, is that there's nothing here... There's nothing else here about... I thought this was... Because this is 1879, I thought this was going to be about her wife, or his wife, passing away. But there's nothing here. There's no obituary. Which we'll look at that a little bit closer in a second. I want to see what the rest of these are to see if we can maybe figure out where he was after his wife passed away. This is 1889. Courtwright's shoe store at this place has changed hands, Robert Barclay having become the owner. Mr. Courtwright was over here from Scranton a good part of last week in the forepart of this, during which time the store was closed to take inventory of the stock. Mr. L.B. Gurnon, who managed the store for Mr. Courtwright, will remain with Mr. Barclay and will endeavor to please all who may favor them with their custom. Okay, unfortunately, though, it's possible that this is the same Robert Barclay, but it's a little... We do know, based on when we were looking at Ancestry, that there are other Robert Barclays in Pennsylvania during this time. So it's unfortunately not enough to 100% confirm that, like, this is the exact same. We know his middle name is Christopher. So if we see a Robert C. Barclay, I'm very confident that that's going to be him. Okay, I see, look here. We have a Robert C. Let's see what this one says. This is from 1885. This is a list. Oh, okay, hold on. This is about a railroad. An accident occurred on Sunday morning, last a short distance this side of Vosburg on the railroad, which resulted in the death of one Frank Solinski, a Polander working at the tunnel. He was walking on the track from Teagues Eddy to Vorsburg when he was struck by number 15, the midnight train down. It is supposed that he was confused as to which of the tracks the train was on and stepped on the wrong track. Esquire Eastman, acting as coroner, summoned a jury and proceeded to view the body, which had been brought here by a freight train. After examining a number of witnesses, they returned a verdict substantially as above. Following are the names of the jurors: Robert C. Barclay. This side of Vosburg. Where's Vosburg?
Hello there.
Let's see. Hey, Flora, welcome on in. Good to see ya. Glad you're here. Hold on. Okay, where is Vosburg? Vosburg Next State Park. Oh, it's there. Oh, okay, so this area. I mean, it does say railroad. Hold on. Is there a... Oh, yep, here's railroad tracks. So instead of following the river, these tracks probably just... Because otherwise they'd have to go all the way through here. Or maybe they... No, wait, no. Are those tracks? It's a little hard to say. I've been doing good, Flora. I hope you've been doing well, too. We've had a very, very interesting stream so far with this person we've been researching. Just to give you the quick summary version. The person we're researching who's above me, her name is Eliza Furman. That's her name. We initially only found her in this one census, this 1880 census, where she was 3 years old, living with Edward and Mary Furman. And we weren't finding anything else because, unfortunately, we discovered that she unfortunately passed away in 1893 at the age of 15 from diphtheria. Which initially I thought, well, it is obviously very tragic. That also meant that, okay, there's obviously not going to be much about her in the historic record. But then we discovered that in her obituary, we discovered that the deceased, as it says here, the deceased was a daughter of Mr. Robert Barclay, formerly a resident of this place, but since the death of her mother, she has resided with the family of Edwin Furman and had been called Furman ever since. So Furman is not her birth name. She was adopted. So in this census record here, even though they list her as her daughter, it's their adopted daughter. So I've been trying to figure out what happened. So what happened with her family? The rest of her family. So that did lead to the discovery of, at the same time, this 1880 census, her father in 1880, Robert Barclay, listed here, 33 years old, is a boarder at this house in Wyoming County, Pennsylvania, in the same county. And it says here that he's a section hand on the railroad. So my initial theory is that he was working on the railroad when his wife passed away. He couldn't take care of his daughter. And so either he asked or somehow, some way, the Furman family came in and adopted her. But I've come to discover that it wasn't just a simple we'll take care of her, while you're working. She was fully adopted and accepted into the family because initially when she died, in the obituary, it says that She was buried in Vaughan Cemetery in Mahoopany, because that's also where her mother is buried. Both her mother and her older brother, but her older brother unfortunately passed away at the age of 3 in an accident. But we also noticed that both her brother and her mother are buried around the same obelisk, basically. This thing here. There's plaques on all. There's 4 plaques basically, and one of them is Adelaide and one of them is Seaward. And I'm assuming that initially Eliza was also buried here with this obelisk, with her mother and her birth mother and her brother. But if we go to where her grave is there's another newspaper article. Hold on, where is it? This one. This is a year later, a year after her death, the body of Eliza Furman, an adopted daughter of Mr. and Mrs. E.D. Furman, has been moved from a cemetery at Mahoopany to Sunnyside Cemetery. And she was moved specifically to the Furman plot in Sunnyside Cemetery to be buried. So I think, again, that just shows how adopted she was by this family, that they even though she was initially buried with her birth family, she was she was moved to the Furman lot because I guess they wanted her to be with them. Yeah, exactly. So loved by them, which I think is great, because we also discovered that her father, we haven't been able to find much on him, but her father lived to be 80 and died in 1927. He never remarried, never had any other kids as far as I can tell. And what's also crazy is that apparently, according to this, his death certificate, birthplace, he was born at sea. So I'm assuming that means he was born on a boat. Which, as I said earlier, I don't know how that falls under, like, legal standing, like citizenship, but apparently, and his 1880 census specifically says birthplace, it says West Indies, which was just a blanket term for, like, the Caribbean at the time. So that was all crazy. So what we're trying to do right now is kind of figure out what happened to Adelaide, his wife, and what happened to him after he gave up Eliza to the Furman family. Just trying to figure out his story and his side of things. And in doing that, we also discovered this most recent article where we discovered that when Eliza was 2, when she was 2 years old, she was playing by the train tracks. And as it says here, I'll just read this, a little bit of this again. This train was rounding the curve of Horse Race Dam about 2 miles below Mahoopany. The engineer discovered a child upon the tracks, but a few rods in front of him. The train which was a heavy one, was going so fast that when he saw it, was impossible to stop before it would be too late to save the child. The head brakeman, Mr. Andrew Morris, took in the situation at a glance and rushed forward over the engine to the pilot, upon which he sat down at the risk of his own life, and reaching his feet forward, grasped the child between them and lifted it from the track uninjured. The child was 2 years of age and belonged to Mr. Robert Barclay. So at 2 years old, she was almost hit by a train. Like, this is insane. Like, this is just getting crazier and crazier, some of this stuff that we're uncovering. What I thought was going to be just a more simple, like, thing after we discovered that she died at such a young age. Exactly. Yeah, this family, like, they had terrible, terrible luck. Because this occurred only, although in this case, this was good luck. In this case, this was good luck, but, like, this is also only, like, 2 months before her mother passed away. So her mother passed away when she was only 2. So it's also, because of that, it's likely she might not even have any, she probably doesn't have any memories of her mother. And the part of the reason why I want to look into Robert Barclay is I want to see if, like, he ever, like, if he was even around, if he was involved in her life, basically, is what I'm trying to figure out. And that's kind of what we're in the middle of right now. Because something else that I noticed in Eliza's obituary is that where it talks about her father, Robert, it specifically says formerly a resident of this place. So by 1893, he's no longer living in this part of Pennsylvania. And I think that's possibly why he's so difficult to find in historic record, because if he was working for the railroad, he was moving all over the place. The only thing we do have is that in 1885, we do have him serving on a jury in Taconic. So I think that would mean that he was still technically, I had to have been still around. But let's see what this next one is. This is from 1886. Let's see. Let's see. Sheriff Depew, Dr. A.H. Palmer, Postmaster Postmaster Pyatt, S.H. Secord, Ed Harding, Robert Barclay, B.W. Lewis, Oh my god! Whoa, these are... Okay, this is like... It's getting to the point where I'm recognizing these names now. That... Like, it's like the Avengers. It's like when, like, you know, like when Captain America shows up in, like, a Thor movie, and I'm like, oh, that's them! That's how it feels like when I see names like B.W. Lewis, Esquire, and H.F. Metcalf. Because those are the parents of the other kids in this photo. So that's how, okay, so Robert Barclay he was still around. He was in the town, I think, still during this time of this place. C.D. T.B. Vosberg and C.D. Knapp of Skinner's Eddy and George L. Kennard and L.E. Hewitt of Meshopen are in Philadelphia this week in attendance upon the Grand Lodge of F&AM and the Grand Chapter. Okay, so this is some sort of, like, meeting of, like, a fraternal society. But I'm going to keep this because it's specifically, again, we have B.W. Lewis, Esquire, and H.F. Metcalf. Okay, 1887. What does this one say? Okay, here we go. So 1887. This is a year before this photo was taken, and about 6 years before her death. So Robert C. Barclay left this place on Wednesday evening for Kingston, New York, where he will remain for some time. Okay, so by 1887, I don't know what remain for some time means. Kingston, New York, okay. That's April. Okay, then we have another one here from later that same year in November. Okay, Robert C. Barclay, formerly of this place, was here at court on Friday and Saturday. Mr. Barclay is now located at Taylorport, Lackawanna County, and is constructing a portion of a railroad there. Okay. So he's now in Lackawanna County. He's not in Wyoming County by this point. So he's still in Pennsylvania. Because the next thing isn't until 3 years later in 18... Oop, what the heck? Robert Barclay, formerly of this place, spent a portion of this week at the Packer House. And what's interesting is that we're not seeing anything of him, like, when he's coming back to Katanic, anything about him visiting his daughter. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Mr. Robert Barclay, formerly of this place, but now in Schuylkill Haven, where he is in the employ of LVRR Co., so that's a railroad company, has been spending the past week in town. Okay. So he's still working for the railroads. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait a second. Charles Barclay, a son of Robert Barclay, formerly of this place, was severely injured in Brown's sawmill at Mahoopany one day last week. He was caught by a set screw on a shaft, which threw him over the shaft, tearing nearly all his clothes off, breaking one leg and one or two ribs, and otherwise injuring him. Notwithstanding all this, it is said he will recover. So wait, so he has another kid? Charles? Charles Barclay. Not to be confused with Charles Barkley, the basketball player. So wait, so does he have another kid? I think we need... Okay. What we might need to do is see if we can find an obituary. Like, I'll keep going through this section, you know, with him and everything, but that has to be him, because it's like... Because it was in... It specifically happened in Mahoopany, where he was from, where he was living. Robert Barclay, formerly in the boot and shoe business here, is making an extended visit, stopping at the Packer House. Okay, there was a different... Or I don't know if that's the same one. It's hard to... Hold on, wait. Is this specifically for Tacanic? Yeah, it is. That's the problem, is I can't tell if this is the same Robert, because I know there are other Robert Barclays in Pennsylvania during this time. So I'm not 100% sure if this is the same one, especially because he's talking about the boot and shoe business. So I'm going to try and stick with ones that only have his middle initial. Okay, this is 1892. And this says Robert C. Barclay of New York State, formerly a resident of this place, spent last week with friends here. So now, hold on, wait. When was that other article that said that he was in Cycle Highway? Okay, 1890. So he could have moved in that time. Hold on. Mr. Robert Barclay, an old-time resident here, but now of Scranton, is visiting friends in the town. There's too many Robert Barclays. There are too many Robert Barclays to, like, really 100% confirm which is which. And then this right here, I think is... Yeah, this is Eliza's obituary. Okay, hold on. If we go... If we get rid of Lycoming County and just make it Pennsylvania. Oh, God. Yeah, see, there's 227. There's too many... Okay, hold on. We do know he was living here. Okay, this is 1890. Hold on. Hold on, what is this? Down the mountain, a house can't... Oh, no, Cornwallis, Oregon. Okay, no, this is not... This is a different Robert Barclay. In Oregon, that's a different... They're just talking about it in that paper. February 12th. Okay, that's the same one that we already saw. Okay, there's not really much here. I'm gonna make it so that it's just the Robert C. Barclays. Hold on, 1884. Wait a second. Hold on. What is this? Robert C. Barclay, proprietor of the boot and shoe store, while doing a prosperous business, is keeping an eye about him to better his lonely condition. He is very susceptible to the charms of lovely women, and would make a devoted husband. He is about 38 years of age and dresses with fastidious care. He is of the blonde order, has light hair, sandy mustache, and is of light complexion. He stands above 5 feet 10 inches. Owing to the fact that he wears glasses, he is often taken for one of the clergy. He is jolly, has some ready means, and should have a wife. He's advertising like his this is his a date, like a classified ad, a personal ad. He's advertising himself that even though, wow, he was trying to get in a relationship again. Okay. no mention that he has kids. No mention at all in this that he has kids, which is a little sketchy if you ask me. Because yeah, 38. Yeah, that is right, because in this is 1884. In 1880 it says he's 33. Yeah, it is very, very curious indeed that he would put out an ad, basically like this is the closest thing you have to, Hinge or Tinder in 1884. He's willing to do that, but not take care of his children. So but this also means that the one we're seeing because as proprietor of the boot and shoe store. So that means the ones that we are seeing that are about a boot and shoe store are him? Because that's 1884. Is it looking like he just didn't associate with his daughter at all? That's... I mean, that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. It's a little... It's a little... I mean, it's hard to judge an entire person's relationship by purely newspaper... By newspapers. Do you know how old he was when she was born? He would have been... She was born in 1878, I believe. Yeah, 1878. So he would have been 30, 31. He would have been about 30, 31 years old when she was born. Also, it just says he was the proprietor of the boot and shoe store. So that doesn't mean that he owned the store. It doesn't mean he had to like be there full time to like work it. And also, if he's the owner of a shoe store, he can be around. He's in the town. And also working the railroad, I guess? Oh yeah, this is the jury thing that we saw earlier. Yeah, these are all the jury lists for that case. Hold on. When does... He's with us and is a guest at the Packer house. Because when it does say that he does leave and come back to the area, it just says, like, visiting friends. It doesn't say anything about his daughter. I'm thinking he wasn't involved personally. But, you know, it's like I said, it's hard to judge an entire person's relationship based solely off of limited newspaper articles. Just hold on, when did the food store open? Or when did it close? Hold on. Let me bring it back to this, and bring it back to Wyoming County again. This... Nope, that's when she was saved by a train. What were the norms regarding adoption for economic or similar reasons at the time, too? Was it frowned upon, politely ignored? Or endorsed, of course, because it seems rather quiet. I don't know. I genuinely, because, I mean, it wasn't complete. It's not completely quiet because they do say it in her obituary. Like, in her obituary, they say that she is the son of Robert Barclay before being adopted by the family. So it was like, it wasn't completely under the rug or anything like that, or like hush hush, if they're putting it in her obituary. Because there was one other thing that we researched. This was back in like July or August, I think, when we researched this. So I have a bunch of postcards that I bought at an antique store that were all sent to the same woman. And I'm blanking on her name off the top of my head because I don't have them on me. But basically, we researched her. She was from West Virginia, and she lived in West Virginia. Unfortunately, she lost her husband when she had like 4 kids, something like that, or 4 kids. Or no, sorry, 3 kids. What I thought was 3 kids, and then we discovered that when we found her grave on Find a Grave, where it lists all the kids, it said that there were 4 kids. And I thought, wait, no, there were only 3 kids in her census records. And then we discovered that she did have a 4th daughter who was sent to live with her mother, so the kid's grandmother, and lived with her basically her entire childhood. They still lived in kind of the same county in the same area. And at first I thought, okay, it was during the Depression, people were trying to economically, trying to make it work. And I thought that was fully the case. But then, especially because she was a single mother at the time, owning a farm, But then she remarried. And she still didn't bring that 4th kid back in to live with her. The 4th kid stayed living with her grandmother. So again, I remember when we were going through that, I was trying to figure out what could their relationship have been like? Was she, they still lived close by, but does she still see her as her mother, even though she was raised by her grandmother? And also, what was her relationship like with the rest of her siblings? Because she wasn't around them really much either. So we have kind of seen a similar adoption-y kind of thing before. This is a bit more extreme than the one that we saw before, because this is a full-on adoption by a completely separate family and not just under the care of another family member. It's, God, yeah, this is... This is just crazy. Because when did he... Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, this is the thing talking about the shoe store. Okay, Courtright's shoe store at this place has changed hands, Robert Barkley having become the owner. Mr. L.B. Jernon, who managed the store for Mr. Courtright, will remain with Mr. Barclay and will endeavor to please all who may favor them with their custom. Okay, yeah, so he just bought the store as like an owner. He wasn't like there physically like running it. So in the UK are a similar time period, I'm aware of kids who were adopted who live their lives almost like an open who lived their lives as they were an open secret to protect the kid and parents from scandal, but the adoption was still a well-known secret within the family. Yeah, again, because this is in the obituary, I don't think that this was like a secret. It could have just been like kind of just like, whatever, we don't want to talk about it. Yeah, exactly, the obituary. That's what makes it really stand out. Okay. Okay, so what if we change the... Okay, to 100% confirm that we're looking at the right person, I want to see if we can find an obituary for Robert. So we know he died in 1927. So let's just do 1926 to 1927, because he died January 2nd, 1927, so there could be maybe some stuff before he died. Okay, here we go. January 7th, 1927. What is this? Captain Barclay dies at Masonic home. Captain? Hold on. Wait. This is a long... Okay, hold on. Let's read this. Okay, let's read this. See if we get some answers here. Captain Robert Barclay is dead. Wow, what a way to start an obituary. That read like an 18th century like literature novel, or like a Dickens. That's like the beginning of a Dickens novel. Captain Robert Barclay is dead. His body was brought here on Tuesday night to Billings Undertaking Parlors. He had been resting at the Masonic home at Elizabethtown, PA. Mr. Barclay came to this place from Mahoopany back in the early 80s, having purchased the shoe store of C.G. Courtright, a Scranton man who had a store in where the Miles drugstore now is. Mr. Barclay ran the first all-around and up-to-date shoe store in the county. He was the subject of a notable lawsuit with Courtright involving the exact place where Courtright was on a certain day. The talk took place in Scranton. Courtright put up $50 that he was at Tacanic, and Barclay put up his check. Then, counting that he was being double-crossed, Barclay stopped payment on the check as Courtright took the check from the holder at Scranton and attempted to draw on it before the controversy was determined. A suit followed, and Judge John A. Sitzer decided that it was a gambling debt from its inspection and Barkley saved his money. The case is reported in Second County reports and is frequently cited on the law on such cases. I wonder when that was, because we haven't seen that yet in the historic record. Okay, hold on. The man Barclay was a widower with several children and became intimate in the social affairs of the town. One of his daughters dying some 20 years ago, 30 years almost, or well, 25. And was brought here for burial from the west. Oh, right, yeah. Because okay, that's considered west because like that's where the old town was and everything. Yeah, this family has a full-on case law. Apparently, there's just all kinds of stuff happening with this family. I mean, this guy has a long obituary. He was somebody, but several children, and they are referring to one of his daughters dying some 20 years ago. They're referring to Eliza here. Here for burial from the west. For several years, Mr. Barclay was a contractor in the west. He closed out his business here to John D. Carpenter, and it was reported that cashier Frank W. Dewitt of the Wyoming National Bank was back of the store. A while ago, Mr. Barclay, having no living ties, came here and boarded at the Hotel Graham while the papers were being arranged for him to take up his abiding place at the Masonic home. He was born at the Isle of St. Thomas and came to America as a young man. He was a genial fellow and well liked by his associates. He was a member of Temple Lodge of FAM and as such entitled to admission to the home at Elizabethtown, PA. The sheriff knew Mr. Barclay when he came to Mahoopany and says he was a foreman for the PA and NY Canal and Railroad Company, now the Lehigh Valley, that's the LVRR, Lehigh Valley Railroad. He was a married man when he came here and had several children. His wife dying, the family was broken up, and one son was adopted by a family there, the boy afterwards having his hand cut off in a sawmill. That's the thing that we saw earlier. So that boy was also adopted by another family. So hold on, where is that? This one, Charles. So that was him. Here I was thinking these were all different Robert Barclays. It is all the same one. He just had so much stuff going on in his life. Yeah, this family is insane feels like an understatement at this point. Consider, okay, so hold on. Where were we? Hold on. Sorry, I lost. There we go. The boy afterwards having his hand cut off in a sawmill. Mr. Barclay was a social being and made many friends here, joining the Masons in that long time ago. So, wow, okay. So just of his, so we officially know of 3 kids. There's Seward, Eliza, and Charles. We officially know of 3 kids who who were his biological children. Of those 3 kids, one of them, unfortunately, Seward, unfortunately, was 3 years old when he died. All it says here is died by burning, which is just a terrible, terrible accident, terrible thing to think about. So his one of his sons died by burning. His other daughter was almost hit by a train and then died as a teenager, unfortunately, to disease. And then his other son was in a sawmill accident and lost his hand. Yeah, this is insane. Yeah, the sawmill guy was the luckiest. Like, I mean, look at this description. Like, it says here that, like, he was caught by a set screw on a shaft, which threw him over the shaft, tearing nearly all his clothes off, breaking one leg and one or two ribs, and otherwise injuring him. They don't even mention the like hand having to be amputated here. The fact that he's the, like, I mean, of the kids that he could have more kids. The fact that his obituary doesn't list any of them is crazy. And the fact that they spend half of his obituary talking about his court cases. We still don't know why he's captain. What was he? Is that a Mason's thing? It might be a Mason's thing and not a military thing. God, this is... And here I thought we weren't going to have much to cover for stream today. Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can find another obituary from him, because this was just doing Wyoming County. Let's do all of Pennsylvania. And let's specifically make it January of 1927. Let's see. Okay, yeah, no, this is not... That's not him. That's a different Robert Barkley. Is that really... That's the only... Really? That's the only obituary for him? Robert... Maybe... Okay, what if we do full name? Nothing. I'm shocked. I thought there was going to be more of an obituary for somebody else, or like somewhere else. Because he wasn't living there anymore. I mean, okay, like I said, we found 3 kids. I don't know if 3 kids, like... That could be... I mean, the obituary just says several kids. And we know that... Okay, yeah, it says specifically the family was broken up, and one son was adopted by a family there. So it seems like all of his other... He didn't keep any of his kids. All of them were basically sent to other homes. Okay, hold on. So let's look up... Hold on. His name was Charles. We don't know when he was born. Okay. Actually, we don't even know if he's still alive in 1927. Hold on, wait. Yeah, it doesn't seem like... Here's the other thing, too. He apparently owned a shoe store and was still doing all this other, like, railroad stuff and was doing, like, this whole, like, check thing, like, with this court case. He doesn't seem like somebody who was struggling for money. So that makes me think that he didn't give up his kids purely for financial reasons. It might not have been financial, it might have been time. Because, because it sounds like he doesn't have any other family. He didn't have any parents. His wife maybe didn't have any parents. Hold on. His wife was named Adelaide. Wait, hold on. Let me change it to 1879, because that's when she died. Nothing. But it seems like he lived in Pennsylvania, either Pennsylvania or New York, for like most of his life. Let's change it. Let's just get rid of the year. Nothing. There's not a single newspaper article that talks about an Adelaide Barclay. Okay, hold on. Let's change it to Robert again. But let's change it... hold on. Let me try... Let's just do 1850. 1880. And let's specifically change it to Wyoming County. What's the earliest record? Okay, these are all ones that we've already seen, but this is a new one from 1869. Is this him? Com versus... Wait. Court proceedings. Commonwealth. Versus Robert Barclay. Surety of peace. Recognizance forfeited. So was the case dropped? But again, it's... There's not enough here to, like, I feel like prove 100% that this is him. God, yeah, 171. That's... Maybe do 1870? Hold on. Actually, hold on. Let's... Okay, Robert Barclay. Birth 1847. Spouse Adelaide. Search. Maybe an older census record? Uh, oh, wait, we do know his father's name. His father... George, Barclay, and Jane. Yeah, his parents were in Canada. And his mother died in 1870. His father died in 1882. So yeah, so his parents were all the way in Canada. So his family wasn't around. So that's probably also why... That's also probably why, like, he didn't have like a support net, basically. And we don't know where she's from. Hold on. There's one website I haven't been looking at all for this that I want to check. That sometimes is pretty good when it comes to this stuff. I'm going to look specifically for Robert Barkley, because he he is gonna have more likely have a record than his out of all the people in this. Hold on. Okay. Robert. Because sometimes the people on... So what I'm doing is I'm pulling up Family Search right now, and a lot of times the people on Family Search do a pretty good job of gathering specifically like who uh of like who's related to who, and like having... Okay, hold on, that didn't work. Let's try this. No. Finding him in here. It's turning out to be a more common name. I'm getting a lot of people born in like the UK, which isn't right. I think that's the other reason why it's hard to find him, because like he wasn't, he wasn't born in the US. He was born in the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas specifically. Um, Let me pull up, what was his death date? 1927. me. There's so many. It turns out this is a. This is becoming more common of a name than I thought. Yeah, he's not showing up in here at all. This is making me think that maybe his none of his kids had kids. Or because all of his heads that's probably why he's not showing up in anything. If all of his kids were adopted, they wouldn't have his last name. So that's why it's so hard to find all this stuff in the historical record from him, because if all of his kids were, if there were more than just the 3 that we know of, they would have been like Eliza and probably don't have his last name. Okay. I want to see if we can find anything for Charles. Charles Barclay. Don't know that. This is, yeah, we don't have birth stuff. Don't have that. Let's just see if there's something here. Okay, hold on. Here's a Charles Barclay, born about 1873, residence 18... Okay, this is probably him. He's 7. Where is he living? Okay. L. Byron Williams' house. Anna, Lydia. Oh, dang. Okay. Wow, this is kind of sad, but I think this shows the difference here. Here on this, first of all, he still has his last name. And at 7 years old, he's listed as a boarder in this house. Not adopted son, not son, just a boarder. God, I think that just really shows the difference in how Charles and Eliza had it. He was basically in foster care. And hold on, wait, if he's 7... Okay, that means he was born in roughly 1872. So when Eliza dies, he would be... When Eliza dies, he would be... almost 20? No. 19. Because he's 4 years older than Eliza. He's 4 years older, and Eliza was 15. So yeah, he'd be 19 when Eliza passes away. Yes, we definitely had... Yeah, these are definitely very different circumstances for the 2 kids. But I wanted to know if there's more. Because, I mean, okay, so he kept his name, it seems like. But there's nothing... Hold on. Okay, so we know... Now we have a bit more information. So he was born roughly 18. Whoops, not 19. 1873. Let's see if that helps narrow it down to us finding something else. We don't know his middle name. Plus or minus 1 year. We have Charles E. Barkley. Okay, hold on. What about... Okay, this is Charles F. Barkley. If we can find an obituary, we can probably confirm. 47 years old, who died yesterday. Burial will be Mr. Barkley, who for many years was a fireman on the Philadelphia division of the Pennsylvania Railroad, was survived by his wife, Elizabeth, and one daughter, Lillian. His body was brought to Harrisburg yesterday by Hoover and Son. Okay. This could be him? Hold on, does that one article say anything about... No, it says nothing about a middle name. So yeah, Charles Barclay. It's just Charles. So by 1890, he's still in the area. This is when having the 1890 census would be so helpful. So that means also so that happened in 1890. If he lost his hand in 1890, he would have been 18. He was 18 years old when he had this accident. I'm just impressed that he, like, even survived. But God, being 18, being that young and losing your hand. Hope it wasn't his dominant one. Jeez. Are there... Here's a find a grave. Is this... Is there any information about him? Oh, no, this is a completely wrong person. Hold on. Birth certificate. Oh, hold on. Application for marriage license. Where is... Where is he? Okay, here we go. Charles F. Barclay. None. Occupation railroad. Birthplace Easton. Previous marriage none. Residence of mother, or residence of father. Birthplace of father, England. Is this him? Because it's Robert C. But this is saying his birthplace is England. And this is also saying that his mother's name was Mary. Uh, this is getting just confusing. Elizabeth Fritz is the name of. Well, this is saying 1875. Marriage place, Harrisburg. I don't know if this is the same person. Left our college in session. Okay, that's a committee. No, that's not who we're... This isn't what we're looking for. What about this one? Marriage licenses. Harrisburg. Charles F. Barclay, Altoona, and Elizabeth Fritz. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to looking up Charles. Charles Barclay. Let's do 1870 to 1890. Specifically... Is that the only thing? So the only thing for Wyoming County... Okay, hold on. Let's try 1891 to 1900. Okay. Okay. There are some things listed here. Specifically from 1892. Okay, that's why. So there is a Charles F. Barclay who was an elector for the... Yeah, he was an elector for the Republican County Convention. Okay, I don't think that's the same one, because he would be only 20 by this point. Yeah. He's only 20. He's not going to be an elector at 20. So I don't think any of these are him. I don't think this Charles F. Barclay is him. Let's try 1901 to... Oh, whoops, to 1910. Oh, okay, hold on, what is this? Rear Admiral Charles J. Barclay was placed on the retirement list of the Navy on account of his age after 45 years continuous service. That's not him because he's not 45 years old at this point. He'd be 33. And that's the same person. Admiral James Charles Barclay. Okay, so let's try 1911, 1920. Nothing. 21 to 30. At this point, he would be in his 50s, so he could still be alive. 31 to 40. 41 to 50. 40. Or, sorry, 51 to 60. And I'll just do one quick one, even though I doubt he's in his 90s. You never know, though. Sometimes people live a long time. Okay, yeah, no. He is... Okay, so I think he definitely left the area after his accident. Or honestly, it's possible that, like, after his accident... It's possible that after his accident, he couldn't work anymore, and he kind of was like, because unfortunately people with, who were like handicapped or have conditions or amputees or stuff like that were kind of ostracized by society during that time. So it's possible he might have just kind of reclused himself, or he could, because I don't know, he might not have been able, depending on which hand it was, he might not have been able to hold a job. Because that's entirely possible how this could have ended up. Okay, let's go back to Robert. And let's change it to like the last, because, okay, he died in 1927. So let's try staying specifically with just Wyoming County, because if we just do general Pennsylvania, it's going to take too long and there are way too many people to go through. Let's just make it 21 to 27. Okay, just that one entry. So let's make it 1911 then to 1920. Okay, 2. What is this referring to? Hold on. Old time Old Robert Barclay Allardyce, a Scotch captain in the British Army. Okay, this is somebody else. This is completely not him at all. Okay, so let's go to 1901 then. 1901 to 1910. Oh, sorry, no, wait. 1911. Wait. 1911 to 1920? Was that the one I just did? I'm getting confused now. Okay, I did just do that one. So it's 1901 to 1910 now that we need to research. Okay, 1901, 1910, 1991 to 1900. Okay, yeah, so after 1893, he just disappears. After 1893, he just disappears from the historic record. With nothing else. Wow, okay. So he has to move somewhere else by that point. But again, if we just make it Pennsylvania, yeah, 170. Only thing I will... Okay, actually, let's do Lancaster County for his death. Wow, nothing. That's crazy, because he died in Lancaster County. Okay. Wow. Okay. I think, though... I think we're kind of hitting a bit of a dead end here. Because we can't really find anything else on Charles. The fact that his only obituary doesn't... Okay, this is what I'm going to say. And this is just kind of my opinion. But the fact that his wife and his kids aren't even mentioned by name in his obituary, I think that says a lot about his relationship with them. Because almost every other obituary that we've seen, if they have some relatives that are still alive, even especially in by the 1920s, even before the 1920s, if there are some relatives that are still alive, they are named, they are listed, everything is said. But the fact that there is nothing at all, that they're just listed as a daughter, a son, like, it really shows that, like, I think that there wasn't really a relationship after this point. That after his wife died, he kind of just left them, unfortunately, which is sad to see. I wish that wasn't the case, but, you know. But I think that's what we're going to call it here for today, because I think we are just kind of going in circles right now of trying to find more things on Robert. So even if we make it specifically Robert C. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, nothing. Ooh, wow. Okay. This was a this was a crazy experience. This was a crazy one today. So basically, to sum everything up, and let's actually put some information in here, because I realize we haven't been doing that this whole time. Okay, so she was born... Oh my god, I just realized we don't have her actual, like, birth date. We just have a year. We don't even know her birth date. Wow, we just know 1878. 1878. In... Actually, we also don't... Because it doesn't... We don't know specifically if she was born... Oops, if I can spell right. Yeah, her birthplace is unknown because her formerly a resident of this place, Edwin Furman. Yeah, I mean, yes, she was 2 when she was living there, but actually, no. I think she was born in she had to have been because her brother died there. So yeah, so scratch that. She was likely born in Hoopany. Uh, okay, so in terms of parents, I am gonna put that her birth parents are Robert Barclay and oh, do I still have? Yep, I do. It's still saved under my copy. And we don't. That's also yeah. We don't know Adeline. I don't know Adeline's maiden name. I don't know Adelaide's maiden name. So I have yeah. We can't really find anything else on her either. Okay, so she would have been. Hold on. Let me look at the 1880 census again for her. Okay, so she was still in Mahoopany at the time. The Furmans were in Mahoopany. At the time of the photo, she would have been 10, roughly around 10. Never married. Never had any kids. Never had a job. Death date is. I mean, well, her obituary, when was it? Occurred on Tuesday of diphtheria. So this was from Friday, March 10th. So Thursday, Wednesday, Sunday. So it would have been the 7th. So she died March 7th, 1893. March 7th, 1893. She was only 15. And died in and is currently in Sunnyside. Okay, so I have to put a lot in the notes section for this one. Okay. Adopted by Edwin and what's Edwin's? Edwin and Mary. Furman after mother's death in 1879. Let's see. Almost hit by train at 2 years old. Yeah, likely had no relationship with birth father. Moved to different cemetery after her death. Unknown number of siblings, but those we do know about all had terrible accidents. Jeez, it's like Final Destination for this family. All right, yeah, that's really all that's what we got on her. Whew, wow, this was something. This truly was something. So yeah, so to sum up today's stream, we first discovered that the woman or the girl who we thought was named Eliza Furman. First, we discovered that she died at the age of 15 in 1893, which of course is very sad. But then we discovered that Furman was actually not her real name, and that uh, her real parents were Robert and Adelaide Barclay. Her mother passed away when she was young, and that's why she got adopted by the Furmans. Uh, and even though Robert Barclay was still like around in the county, we can't really. It doesn't seem like he had much of a relationship with her. We then discovered that at the age of 2, she was almost hit by a train, um, which is crazy. And then also that her older brother died at the age of 3 from burning, and then her other confirmed sibling that we know about was in a horrible sawmill accident and lost his hand on top of all these other injuries. Yeah. Ugh. What a what a what a what a what a crazy time we had on stream today. Ah, wow. All right, so like I said, that's what we're gonna call it for here for today, folks. This is I'm gonna need like take a minute after stream to like really like absorb everything that we found today. And this is all just from like this is just one person in this one photo. Which is it's just crazy. Phew. All right, so let's go ahead and let's go to our classroom. All right, so there we go. That's going to do it for today, folks. Thank you guys so much for being here. This was a crazy one. I keep saying that, but really, I don't know what else to say because it really was. But yeah, if you're new here, I'm not a professor, but you can call me Nap. I do these streams every Wednesday and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but sometimes I do guerrilla streams. Like yesterday, last night, I was playing some Stardew Valley, starting a new farm with that. So if you want to know next time I go live next, make sure you hit the follow button. Also, I do upload shorts on things that we find to my YouTube channel, which if you look at the top of the chat there, uh, that is my latest YouTube short where we're actually talk about the first 3 people in this photo that we were researching today. So if you want to learn more about some of the other people that we've looked at on this stream, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, let's see. What else is... I don't know if there's really anything else. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can find somebody to raid. Let's see. Hmm. Let's see. Who else is live? Uh, is always the part that I always have like the hardest time. Sometimes it's just finding somebody to raid. Uh, okay, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and raid, let's go ahead and raid, my friend Lilac here. Oh, she's playing golf. Let's go ahead and let's raid her. All right. Let me go ahead and get the raid message going. And then let's do the follower message. All right. But yeah, that's going to do it for today, folks. Thank you guys so much for being here. This was a crazy roller coaster of a stream today, but I'm glad you guys were able to be here and share it with us. So yeah, next stream will be Wednesday. We'll be continuing our journey of finding everything in this everyone in this photo. But yeah, until then, hope you guys have a good rest of your night or evening wherever you are, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. All right, have a good night, everybody. Take care.